Hey, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Hey, family. This is Chief Kalanago with another video. I know it's a little bit early, but you know, something came to my spirit and I wanted to put this message out there. Sometimes our own experiences, the way we could articulate it to others, whether some people may deem it bad, good, or indifferent, I believe that for the most part, a lot of us go through the same experiences. And what makes a difference in that experience is the way we perceive it, the way we actually react to it, the way we respond to it. I think that is what makes our experiences unique, because we all have our own way of perceiving things and receiving things. But I believe that we were all brought here, or we all came here, because I think we came here of our own free will. We all came here to have our own experience. Yes, we all came from that one source, but we came here to have individual experiences so that we could bring back to the whole. I strongly believe that. And to me, I know that. So it's more than just a belief. But I realize that within the paradigm of each and every one of us having our own experience, we have to respect other people's journey, and we can't take it personal. I remember growing into who I truly am, becoming aware of who I truly am before my enlightenment, so to speak. When people came into my life and they left, I got upset. At some point, I became bitter. Whether it was what you call quote unquote their fault or my fault, that wasn't even registered in my head. All I realized and all I just noticed was that you came into my life, how dare you leave? Especially at a time when I think I wasn't ready for you to leave. And I wrestled, with that for a very long time, until I had to come to a realization that I was being selfish. I was being selfish because they came into my life and it was time for them to leave. But I Chief Kalanago, wasn't ready for them to leave. And again, whether it was they left because of something I did or something they did, to me, that wasn't even relevant. The point is, I was just mad that they left. But I realized by me holding on to those negative emotions and feelings that I was causing harm to myself, because my heart was always heavy. Yes, I pretended. As a matter of fact, at some point, I pretended to be happy. I was always smiling, always being jovial, always being positive. But deep down within my heart, the core of my being, I wasn't happy. My heart was heavy. I had this blockage. And in as much as I was telling myself that everything is okay, just stay positive, I had to deal with those feelings first within me. I had to learn to let go of those negative emotions, let go of them before I could truly move on in truth and righteousness. So one day, a thought occurred to me, and that's why I am titling this video The Number 4 Train. Not that it has anything to do with trains per se, but it's an analogy. Okay, it's symbolic. It's an allegory. So I woke up with a thought, and the higher self told me I should go to the train station and take the number 4 train to the last stop in the Bronx. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the number 4 train in Brooklyn, or trains in general, there is a stop in Brooklyn called Utica Avenue. And there's a number 4 train that goes from Utica Avenue in Brooklyn to the Bronx, Woodlawn Avenue to be exact. Now, sometimes that train runs express. Sometimes it runs local. Now, I'm not sure how the schedule of the train is relevant to the message, but let's see. But my higher self told me to go on that train and open your eyes, and not just your physical eyes, but your insight, and pay attention. Listen to yourself while you learn this lesson. So I went to the train station, paid my fare, got on the number 4 train, and I sat down. I think I was in the second or the third car, and I sat down, and I was told to pay attention to the people coming on that train. So I started paying attention to the faces, not names, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to observe. So I observed in silence. They say sometimes silence is golden. They say sometimes silence is golden. And at that moment, it really was. So I sat down, and I started paying attention to faces, the mannerisms of the people on the trains, and realized that people were just sitting on that train, not greeting each other, and everybody was in their own mood or mode. Some people were just in their phones. Some people read, but more people was in their phones. Some people were reading newspapers. But for me, I was paying attention because I was there to learn. So I remained in silence as the conductor said, "This is the number 4 train, express to Woodlawn Avenue in the Bronx." And I listened as the train doors closed, bing bong. The conductor said, "Please stand clear of the closing doors." And the train took off. And even if that train ran express, the train made stops at various stops in Brooklyn. So from Utica Avenue, the next stop was Franklin Avenue. Then we have Atlantic Avenue. Then we have Nevins Avenue. Then we have Borough Hall. Then we have Brooklyn Bridge. Then we have 14th Street. Then we have 42nd Street. Then we have 59th Street. Now, I'm not here to tell you what all the stops are, but just going to give you so that you could envision what I'm saying. So from Utica Avenue, the next stop was Franklin. And what I realized that the people who got on the train, on that number 4 train on Utica Avenue, by the time I got to Franklin Avenue, the door opened, some of those people left, and some new people came on. Then the next stop was Atlantic Avenue. Some people exited the train, and some new people came on the train. When the train got to Nevins Avenue, some people exited the train, and some people got on the train. And as I started paying attention, it started making sense to me that the people that got on the train with me at Utica Avenue, the first stop, some of them actually got off by the time we got to Atlantic Avenue. When we got to 42nd Street, more of those people got off. When we got to Borough Hall, more of those people got off. And I realized that people had to get off at their stop because they had their own business, their own affairs to handle, while I was continuing my journey to the last stop. And by the time I got to the Bronx, the people that I started with, they were not the people that I started with, they were not the people that I ended with. As a matter of fact, it was only 2 or 3 people that actually got on that number 4 train with me in Brooklyn at Utica Avenue that went to the Bronx, to the last stop at Woodlawn Avenue. And it started making sense to me. I sat on the train, and the conductor said, "This is the last stop. Everyone must exit the train." And I went across the platform, took the number 4 train, this time from Woodlawn Avenue back to Brooklyn Avenue, which is now the last stop. in Brooklyn. So you see, is there really a first? Is there really a last? Because when I got on the number 4 train in Brooklyn, it was the first stop. When I got to Woodlawn Avenue in the Bronx, it was the last stop. But however, when I got to Woodlawn Avenue in the Bronx, that same number 4 train became the first stop. And then Utica Avenue in Brooklyn became the last stop. So it made me realize that life is a cycle. And within that journey, we have lessons we have to learn. We have to get off at different stops sometime and maybe get back on that same train, because in life we have obstacles, we have circumstances, we have, just things we have to face in life. And we may have to get off that train sometimes, but then we could always get on. So I took the train from the Bronx, Woodlawn Avenue, which is now the first stop, going back to Brooklyn, doing the same experiment. And the people I started with when I got back to Brooklyn, some of them were still on the train, but the majority of them weren't. The moral of the story is this, family. In life, everybody comes on that train. And that train is like your journey, your goal, your purpose in life. And many people will come on your journey. Many people will come on that train with you, but then they will have to get off at various stops, because it wasn't meant for them to go to that last stop with you. And sometimes you will take it personal because you have developed relationships. You became friends, you became lovers, you became daughters, you became sons, you became nieces, nephews, cousins. In other words, again, you have created and developed relationships in every aspect of the word. But because it's time for those people to move on, it is time for those people to continue on their path and not yours. In other words, they came into your life for a reason, for a season, and now it's time for them to move on. Why do we get upset? Why do we get mad? Why do we hold grudges? And sometimes, you know what, those people, they came into our life to be a crutch so that they could help us out. But sometimes that in itself becomes a burden for them and they have to move on. But because we are so selfish in our wants and our needs and our desires, what we do is we become upset. We become bitter. Then we hold on to animosity. And then all of a sudden, we start becoming poisonous. So we started hate. Yes, that's right. We start hating. We start talking ill of those people. Not because these people did us wrong, but it's because we were selfish. Because we felt in our own being that I wasn't ready to let you go. How dare you come into my life and leave? And the same thing happens with our loved ones who they quote unquote call dying. But you know what? That is just the end of their journey with us. So they have to ascend. They have to move on to the next realm. What is die? People don't die. They move on to what's called another dimension. Die is short for dimension. They don't die. They move on. And we have to be happy for those people. So I'm going to end this video by saying this. When people come into our lives, when they get on that train with us, let us enjoy their presence. Let us enjoy their energy. Let us enjoy that relationship that we build. Okay? Whether we deem it good or bad, what we do is we make ourselves aware of the so-called bad things or the negative things, but let us not dwell on it. But however, the so-called positive things, let us use it. Let us enjoy it. Let us embrace it. Because everybody weren't meant to be in our lives forever in this physical realm. There will come a time when they will have to move on. They will have to get off at their own stop so that they could go live their lives, create new relationships. It doesn't mean that their intentions were bad. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that they don't love you or they didn't love you or they don't care about you. All it means is that, family, it was time for them to move on. And we have to be selfless enough and not be selfish to realize that those people, we have to let them go and wish them well and mean it from the bottom of our hearts. Let us be righteous about us wishing them well, sending them positive love, light, harmony, peace on their journey, and mean it. That is the key. Learning to let go, learning to forgive, not holding on to that negativity, not holding on to our own perception of how we perceived those people living in our lives. You see, once you make it personal, especially when the feeling is toxic, you are harming yourself. You are putting that negative energy out there in the universe without you even realizing that. So this is something that I had to learn. And I am still learning. I'm still living it. And I am still growing. And I'm not even going to say that I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to manifest that. However, I'm going to say that I am growing into my perfection. And at the ending of the day, I know that my intentions always have to be righteous. My intentions always have to be pure. They always have to be. Regardless of what other people think, say, do. I could only speak for myself. I am only responsible for me. I am only responsible for my actions. The only person that can change me is me. Yes, other people may make impressions. Other people may have influences on me. But at the ending of the day, it is up to me to make that change. The only person that could mess my life up is me. Nobody else but me. And you see, when you realize that and you take that responsibility of changing your life, making that change, that's when you truly start growing. So I hope you take this analogy of this number 4 train and apply it to your life, knowing that the people that you start with, even if at the ending of the day, the end goal is the same. We are all going back to that source. However, some people will get off. They will get off. They will come back on. They will get off. They will come back on. Because that's what this life is about. The key or the mastery is learning to allow these people to be who they are. Be aware of the negative so-called traits in them. And you don't have to embrace it. Just be aware of it. Don't hate them for it, but embrace the positivity and allow them to be who they are. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned. Because when these people come into our lives and they leave, we get upset, our heart hurt. Then because our heart hurt, then we get bitter. And because we hurt, we want to hurt people. We want to hurt the same people that walk out of our lives. And if we cannot hurt them, then we hurt the other people that's in our lives because we are upset. We are bitter. But I'm here to tell you today, you don't have to be that way. Be happy for them. And don't pretend. If you wish them well from the bottom of your heart. So a man or a woman thinketh in their heart, so are they. It's your intentions that changes things. So I'm here to tell you today, family, continue to grow in your enlightenment. Be true to yourself first. You see, we can fool the world, but we cannot fool ourselves. So be true to ourselves first, and that will help us be true to others. So with that being said, I hope that on your journey, on that number 4 train, everyone who starts that journey with you, that you embrace them, you appreciate them, build great relationships. And when it's time for them to go, even if that relationship is becoming toxic and it's time for them to go, let them go. Even sometimes that relationship becomes toxic and it's not time for them to go, you do yourself a favor and get off that train yourself and get on another train. Because sometimes even we ourselves have to make the decision of getting off that train. That is correct. Sometimes we have to get off that train sometimes and just allow them to continue that journey while we get off. Take a break and get on another train. And to me, that makes perfect sense. So at the ending of the day, who is in control? You are in control of you. So on your life journey, on that number 4 train, again, embrace the people, acknowledge the people, love the people that started that train ride with you. But when it's time for them to go, let them go. And if they don't want to go, you get off that train. But do it in love, peace, light, and harmony. I love you guys. And I'm always going to continue to be true to the best of my ability. And I'm always going to ask my ancestors to continue to use me as a vessel, use me as a tool to uplift my people, to uplift the world, to make that change. And continue to help me not be selfish, but be selfless. I'm not going to let people take advantage of me, but I'm going to continue to give. I'm going to continue to love. I'm going to continue to uplift. I believe we all came for our own purpose. And when you realize what your purpose is, you should live your truth. All right, family? I wish you all the best in your journey. Again, embrace and love and acknowledge those that come into your life. But when it's time for you to let them go with love. Sometimes even if you have to walk away with love. Walk away with peace, harmony, and light. Let us stop being fake to each other. This is Chief Kalanago. Peace and love. Hope you guys have a beautiful day, because only you could make your day a beautiful day. Peace.